Okay, hello everyone. I hope you've all had a good weekend. I was gonna make this video this morning, but I just got to get this microphone right. But we lost power and my generator's way noisy, so I got to move it to the other side of the house. First world issues. This is my weekly first week roundup of the election. I personally feel like we're not really having an election of two different parties. We're having an election of the duopoly party, or the bi party, or the UNI party. That's it. I couldn't think what people would call that sort of thing. The Australian election of our UNI party. So it's not really an election between two different parties with two different ideals and two different concepts of how things should be run, not one. It's just a party of a whole heap of people with pretty much the same ideals with minor differences at the edges of it. So within the first week, there's been a lot of things discussed. But this morning, the Liberal Party came out with Peter Dutton to slash number of international students under a housing crisis plan. Now, that's the big policy that the Liberal Party's come out with today. And if I'm totally honest, I'm not really educated enough in this subject to comment on it. I have no idea. I haven't looked into any studies one way or the other, and the media certainly haven't told me one way or the other. They say that people say this and people say that. They don't actually tell you what the real go is. They leave it up to us to find out for ourselves. I have no idea whether slashing students by 80,000 will lower the price of rents in places like Melbourne, Geelong, even in Cairns, where people are obviously paying $350 for a single room in a share house. All of those places are university towns. But I don't know whether international students affect rental prices. I don't know whether universities actually build accommodation for their students that they get from overseas. I have no idea how that system works. So under that scenario, I am just not educated enough to give you an opinion past anything of my automatic view. Well, it comes from Liberal, it must be wrong. Because Labor was saying the same thing a few months ago and it didn't pass in Parliament, but it was pretty much the same thing. We're going to cut student numbers to lower rental prices. No university students live in the town that I live in. So there's no one that I could actually ask an opinion where the opinion might matter to them, or their opinion would be anything outside of what the media is saying. So on that basis, I couldn't tell you one way or the other whether slashing international students does anything. And quite frankly, anyone giving me an opinion on this, including the media, couldn't tell me one way or the other either. I don't see anybody with opinions on this subject coming with receipts. It's just a gut feeling. That's what, and it seems a pretty big policy to be doing on a gut feeling. But I guarantee you by tomorrow, Labor will say that they'll do the same thing or something very similar. Next, we got Labor subsidies for home batteries. I certainly have a lot to say about this, but I'm not going to say it today, apart from I did see Peter Dutton in an interview today say that people who can't afford $10,000 up front for a battery are going to be quite annoyed that they're subsidising people who can to put batteries on the side of their home. I'm on a disability support pension. I own my home outright. There's not a single gram of debt on the thing. Maintenance and bills and everything means that I struggle to pay land rates, but I damn well don't. Like, they get paid. I'd love to be able to have battery backup and things like that, but I certainly wouldn't want a power wall on my house. Anyone looking at power walls, have a serious look at using lead acid batteries to store your electricity for your house. The electronics that make it all work are the exact same electronics. The only difference is if a cell goes in your lead acid battery array, you can just take that one battery out and replace it. At the cost of a battery, what's a battery these days? $300 a pop. And batteries are a lot more recyclable than lithium batteries. I've gonna make a video tomorrow on this policy because I have a lot of opinions and receipts to back up my opinions on power walls. I don't like that policy. Now, the only other thing I want to talk about on this week's election with things important that came out is in one newspaper, Peter Dutton vows to terminate Chinese lease of Darwin Port. Depending on what newspaper you read, that's the news.com.au, which is Channel 9 News. In The Guardian, same thing, same day, same time. Albanese declares Chinese-controlled port of Darwin should be in Australian hands. Now, it's too long ago to give a rat's ass and be arguing about who allowed and who didn't allow the port to be leased. The port's now leased. The next thing I want to stress is I'm a pacifist, I'm anti-war and all of that stuff. But I live in a world where the people who run the world aren't pacifists and aren't anti-war. And in that world, we have things called navies and that. And you can't have... I don't know how we ended up in a situation where there was a commercial port next to a top secret naval base. But you can't have the Chinese government or a Chinese corporation or an American government or an American corporation. On that basis, I agree with Dutton more than Albanese. They both want to buy the port, which they're going to have to do. Dutton wants to make sure that it only goes to an Australian company, but how does he know that that Australian company won't become an American company or a German company or a Japanese company the next day? Albanese just wants to sell it to anybody who isn't Chinese, but how do we know who's going to be our enemy tomorrow, especially with these governments? So I fully agree that this poor, and it's ridiculous as well, because my question is, how are they going to stop somebody on a container ship taking a note of what they see while their ship's sitting in dock? How are they going to stop somebody in a container ship taking note of what's coming in and out of the naval docks while they're waiting to come in and out of the commercial docks, which are right beside the naval docks? And that doesn't just go for Chinese people, Chinese ships and workers. That goes for all countries, because we live in this world where all countries spy on all other countries, and it's just totally ridiculous the situation we've got. So I agree with both sides of politics. Oh, they're the same side of politics. This is a perfect example of how they're the same side of politics. But I find the news coverage hilarious, which is why I picked this one out from is one newspaper, Peter Dutton, no other newspaper, Albanese. But it's it's just absolutely ridiculous. What they both should say is both parties once again agree to do the exact same thing. That's my wrap up of the silly election of the Australian Labor Liberal Uni Party. Now, a lot of the time I sound like I agree with the Liberal Party. I certainly don't. I really wish we didn't have either both the Liberal Party and the Labor Party, and I wish they'd both go and have a long swim in the ocean. But the fact of the matter is we're going to end up with one of these two parties as writing policy for the next 3 years. And on that basis, I'd prefer it to be the Labor Party and not the Liberal Party. For anybody on social security payments of any sort, just remember the welfare card. And I haven't heard Peter Dutton make a statement that the Liberal Party would never venture down the road of a welfare card ever again. What I do hear is backbench Liberal Party people saying they can't wait to get into office to reintroduce the welfare card. The sad thing about that is Labor's been so nasty and horrible to people on New Start and disability support pension and the age pension and all those other things that they can't use that as an argument. And I personally think, considering the welfare card could affect 3 million people in this country, that Labor should be using that as an argument against the Liberal Party, because anybody who understands anything about politics in this country understands that the Liberal Party may bring back the welfare card. And anybody who knows anything about that knows how vile and horrible it is. And if you're a First Nations person living in the outback, you remember how it was just like the return of a rations card. That's all I have to say about this week in politics. Everybody stay safe. Everybody stay happy. Over the course of tonight and tomorrow morning, I'm not going to be doing a lot of research. I already know what I'm going to be talking about when it comes to power walls and lithium batteries attached to your weatherboard house. But I'll probably be doing a 20-minute video, because If you want to put a power wall on your house, that's fine. Go put a wall on your house. My biggest fear with the government subsidising all these power walls, if something goes, is the government just setting itself up for a massive liability issue if these things turn out wrong? Just look up LG home battery packs recall and see how many different LG batteries, which is one of the biggest home lithium batteries sold in this country. But look at how many models they've got listed to be recalled because they may burn your house down. Now the company's going to pay for them to be exchanged, but I don't think they've actually got batteries to change them with. Those ads have been running for 3 years on my television, by the way. Oh, look at that. I've just made the camera shake. Everybody have a good, safe time. And remember, if you're entitled to redress, chances are you'd probably win a civil lawsuit. So go and see a lawyer that specialises in civil lawsuits for that subject. Everybody have a safe, good day, and don't forget, like and subscribe. Oh, and I had a video where I did this, and it got 100 views, and all of my videos just get 4 views. So this is like an experiment to see if this is why I got 100 views. Good night all.